All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Matt.
I'll start off by just saying that, after watching the tape, it was good to see you guys make plays on both sides of the ball. Really feel that we're taking a step in the right direction in terms of offensively, distributing the ball to our skill, to the different targets that we saw. I know we were committed to the run game, certainly need to have it be more effective, in the early part of that game. And, it was good to see. And really just, I was, like I said, proud of the defense, of the way they played, in terms of the way they responded to different, scenarios they were put in, sudden change and different things that we rose up to the four downs, going out on downs there, giving the ball back to the offense. The takeaways still continue to be there for us, and that's going to be a big part going forward. And then just meeting with the team this morning was really just about that. It was about just getting the ball right, making sure we're squared away there. Offense protect it, defense get it. That's line one in football. And then really just establishing the run. Our run averages got to be better on both sides of the ball. That was another big message there. And then just the explosive plays. The way you stop scoring and the way you get scoring in the NFL is through explosives. So we have to do a good job of really in those three areas going forward. So I got one injury update just really from last night. It's Terrell Smitty, really just the same. He's got a hip, and we'll see where that is going forward. And that's really the only significant injury that we had from the game yesterday. With that, I'll take your questions.
Dan Wiederer.
Two plays I wanted to ask you about. The first one on the strip sack. You guys obviously had a 7-man protection in there. What did you see when you went back and watched that, as far as what Cole could do better and whether there was any extra help that could have been applied there?
Yeah, so that really is just a tight end slide back protection. So Cole starts out initially, blocking the defensive end, knowing that he has help inside, from Big Dog in there. So again, he's just got to do a good job of taking his set, staying in good balance. And again, I think the defensive end did a really good job of pulling him and then working the edge there. I do feel that Caleb did feel him around the edge and started to slide up to deliver the ball to Rome on that one. And again, that was unfortunate. That was obviously a big play in the game for them, getting the ball on the 16, and defense has just got a hold there.
And then we obviously talked yesterday about the 4th and goal and the option play. When you went back and saw the look you got defensively, what did you see there, and what would need to happen operationally to give Caleb more time to alert out of that if he needed to?
Yeah, just that. It's again, that's a play that you have on. And if you don't like it, you can alert it to something else. And again, talking to Caleb, he just didn't feel he had the time to do that. It was going short on time. I think they broke the huddle at 10, and then they worked it down. It was maybe snapped at 5. So that's just what it was. And again, we didn't get that look we wanted.
Adam.
Yeah, Coach, when it comes to going for 2, was that communicated to your guys before the drive that you were in a go for 2 situation, and that those guys need to be ready for that if you did score? And if not, when did you guys make that decision that you needed to go for 2, and when exactly was that communicated to the players?
Yeah, so that was just not good. Like I said, we need to be better there as coaches, communicating across the board to go for it, that we are go for 2, because we were down by 5. Obviously, that's the number one thing you do. And when I saw that it wasn't, then I called timeout to make sure that we got the guys ready and got them alerted, and that we got the best play that we had for that particular situation. So again, that's got to be better. We have been great at that, and we just got to be better in that moment.
Matt.
Hey, Matt, the interception that hit Odunze in the hands, was that a throw Caleb should make? I mean, it was in a tight window. He said he saw the defender's back, so let it rip, and it was right there. But again, given the situation, given where you were on the field, were you comfortable with that decision?
Yeah, I think it was an aggressive throw. I really do. I do think that he was open, but again, those windows close in the NFL. And the safe option would have been taking the back in the flat. on that particular case. And again, we went to the motion and they end up shifting their coverage over there. And so on that particular play, again, aggressive throw. He's got to have some wisdom there and discernment in terms of when he needs to make that throw. But again, you never want to take away his aggressiveness, but he has to be really good with the football. And that's his number one job as the quarterback.
You mentioned valuing the ball. You know how hard it is to win when you turn the ball over 3 times. How do you stress that with Caleb without taking away, like you said, that aggressiveness that you do like?
Yeah, I mean, it's all based on play design, right? So play design tells you, when you and coverage contour in terms of what they're in, that tells you where you're going with the football. And we just have to do a good job with that throughout the entire game. And he did do a good job. He did a nice job with that for a lot of part of the game. And again, we just the one that we threw late, we were in field goal range. I believe we were on the 27, Pat.
Yeah.
But that was another one that he was just, a couple, 2-3 hitches, and we threw late out to the flat. And again, that's a decision there where we lost 3 points, and we just got to be better there. He knows that. And, just keep improving. And I really feel that he did improve in this game. You guys all saw it. The in and out of the huddle was better. The rhythm was better. The distribution of the ball was better. And, we just got to find a way to put this all together, have the continuity and play complementary football together as a football team.
Courtney?
Matt, I have 2 on the goal line sequence. With the 4th and goal, and I know you said and Caleb said that if he would have had more time, he could have, checked out of that. How do you account for speed of defenders in those situations and knowing whether that option play, regardless, would have been the right call?
Yeah, I mean, we ran it direct, 3 times in a row, and then we had an option to do either one on the 4th one. So, I as the head coach would like him to do it in those 3 plays. That way I don't have to make that decision on 4th down. But I do believe that you do have to take it in account for speed. But again, if the look was right, that was going to be a good play for sure.
And on the 3rd down, I think Carter was one-on-one with Lewis.
Yep.
Are there things that you look back at on the film that you determine maybe that wasn't the right matchup in there and that you can fix going forward?
Absolutely. In fact, Shane and I watched the tape at 6:30 this morning, and we talked that through. And again, that's got to be a better call and a better matchup there.
Mark?
Hey, Matt, I know it's a small sample size, but so far the run game under Shane has not been as effective as it was last year under Luke. Even if you extract Fields' yardage, it just hasn't been as good. I'm just curious, is that the transition from one offense to another? Is it going to take time? What is the issue there? And I think it's with pretty much the same, 4 of the same 5 offensive linemen. So I'm just curious, is that just a transition from one offense to the next, or why is there that disparity?
Yeah, I think that's part of it, Mark. But I do think that, Roshan gets going here. I think we get a really good job yesterday in terms of, denting the pile forward and doing a good job that way. And I think we have, 3 unique guys that have skill sets that we can really utilize as we get going in the course of this year. And it's important that we do that. So again, I was real happy for Roshan yesterday to being able to run the ball effectively, catch the ball to the backfield in 2-minute, in 3rd downs and all that. And again, Swift made some really nice plays in the passing game too at the end there too. So Herbert's capable of making plays. So I think we have a unique skill set of each individual guy, and we got to do a really good job of using those guys.
Thank you.
Jason?
Matt, I have 2 questions for you about Caleb. The first, when you guys are philosophically, when you're going over film with him, you're looking at a game like yesterday, 56 pass plays, I think, including the sacks. Are you guys drilling down on every correction that needs to be made on those 56 plays, or are you trying to keep it to a few broader points to avoid overloading them?
Yeah, so I meet with them first, in the morning, and I do a broad stroke of, what we learned, what you got better at, what you did well, and what we need to get better at going forward. And I'll show them a few plays, and we'll sit and talk. And that's a pretty lengthy meeting, and understanding where he is in terms of his flow into this week and where his body is and all those things. And I think that was a really good conversation. And then he drills down a little bit deeper, with the coaches in terms of each individual play. And again, they focus more on, the plays, the critical plays that were there, and also the critical, the good plays that he had, just to enhance the positive, because there was a lot of positive, coming out of that performance yesterday.
And secondly, do you think his progress is viewed differently because of the expectations that not only everyone has had on him for the last few years when he was back to when he was a college player, but the expectations that he set for himself, saying before the draft, even saying he was going to, his goal was to exceed CJ Stroud's rookie season, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to focus on the day-to-day operation of, your preparation, and be where your feet are. And I think that's, expectations are always going to be out there, and they are an outside-in type of force. And he's got to really do a good job. We have to do a really good job of working from the inside out and preparing for the Rams and learning from our experience from yesterday. So that's where I think he is, and that's where I think we need to be.
Back to Dan.
Matt, you've struck a tone of positivity and encouragement since yesterday's loss. I'm curious, in private with the players, how you describe your sort of your philosophy and your style for conveying when something doesn't meet the standard and when something's unacceptable to you, and how you go about doing that in a productive manner.
Yeah, it's just about accountability. It's about accountability, watching the tape and looking at yourself with a critical eye, in terms of, did I execute that particular play in the right way in terms of my job, my responsibility, and did I do it with the right focus and intensity? And was I part of the execution, or was I part of the breakdown that happened? And that's for every single play. And we hold each other accountable, and it's important to be able to do that in front of your peers. So we do that as we watch the tape, and that's how you get better. The whole thing is about improving. No one's going to be perfect. Even when you win, you're not perfect, but you got to make those critical plays. And we certainly saw that yesterday. It was a handful of plays, like it is every week. And, it's always about working on those and making sure that you're snap in and snap out on the details.
Last two here, Adam, then Kevin.
Yeah, man, I just have one more on the goal line play on 4th down. Just, you mentioned that Caleb didn't feel like he had enough time coming out of the huddle a little bit late to properly check it. I know it's only his 3rd NFL game. I mean, is that a situation where you would trust him to call timeout in that spot, or is that something that should come from the sideline? Because with 3 timeouts there, it seemed like that could have been an option there on such a big play in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to let him operate too. So again, we thought at 10, he could potentially be checking it. We snapped it at 5. So that's an operation we got to do better together. That's an everybody thing, and we have to do it better.
Kevin?
And Matt, did you get an explanation from the officials about the forward progress with Richardson that was called? And I was curious, I assume there's nothing else you could tell your players to do in that spot.
Yeah, so they were telling me that, the forward progress stopped, and, and they blew the whistle that it was already done. So once they say that it's forward progress, you can't challenge that. And that's what they told me. And that's where it was, because, and then, again, if we, we caused that really good strip sack there. And again, if that was challengeable, we would have done it. But unfortunately, it wasn't, is what they told me. And, but it was a really good play with a really good rush by Sweat and a really good strip sack and a good recovery too. So we're excited about the rush on that particular play.
Cole, how's it going?
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Good. On the opening day of training camp, when you checked in, you said that the realistic time for the offense to get going was now, sort of communicating that urgency that you guys needed to have, and that there wasn't time to sort of meander through this thing. After 3 weeks, where are you at in your frame of mind of understanding that things may not have come together as quickly as you would have hoped, and just trying to create some of that urgency with where the offense is headed?
Yeah, well, I think that word you use, urgency, is definitely needed, and not that we don't feel that, but we got to continue to have that urgency to get better every day. I think you also got to blend with that of not getting too overwhelmed or too frustrated by what's going on, and we got to keep things tight in here. And I think Coach said it well the other night. When when you drop 2 in the NFL, you know, that's adversity. So we've dropped 2 in a row here. You know, and offensively, we haven't played up to the standard that we've wanted to yet. I think it's gotten better each game. I mean, again, we're being real. Right now, better is not good enough. You know, we got to be better. We got to be much better if we want to win these games. And, you know, you look at the positives from the other day, we were able to sustain some drives and ran the ball well at times. And then, you know, obviously put up some really good numbers and pass yards, you know, at the quarterback position there. So that was all good to see. And, you know, we're able to control the clock, but we got to be able to punch the ball in the end zone and get points. And I think that comes down to that. And then the number one thing is taking care of that football. And, you know, despite the performance against Tennessee that first week, the one thing that we could come out saying is that we took care of the football and we need to get back to doing that. And I think if we take care of that at the very least, we'll start winning some more games.
And then if I could ask you about the speed option on the 4th and goal, with your understanding of what makes that play click, what are you guys hoping for in terms of a defensive look, and then execution wise, what needs to happen for that to click? Because obviously that wasn't exactly as it was drawn up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too into it. What I will say is, like, we saw some things on film and you want to get a certain front for it. And I think we all felt confident in that. You know, they ended up throwing out something else out there for us, and that we obviously weren't quite ready for, and it resulted in that type of play. So, you know, unfortunate circumstance. You know, I always go back to, I know everyone wants to maybe look at that play, but there's so many other plays before that, you know, we had opportunities to go punch the ball in. And, but I know, you know, that's kind of the glaring thing, but there's other things around that we can get fixed up as well.
Kevin?
Hey, Cole, when you look at the connections you and Caleb had in the fourth quarter, especially on 3rd down, how much of that stuff is you're able to replicate it, you're able to kind of get in a groove? And when you evaluate that, obviously they're in a bit of a prevent defense there. How do you know, like, what is stuff that's good, we can use this week to week, versus that's just the defense they were playing? I mean, can you feel good about some of those late fourth quarter things?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the game was out of hand. I think, you know, there was an opportunity to come back there. So it's not like they're just freely giving up stuff. I mean, I look at that seam route he threw late in the fourth quarter that he drove the ball on me on. I mean, they're preventing from that type of stuff, those type of throws from happening. So I thought that was really an unbelievable throw by him to fit that in, you know, between the hook defender. So that was some really good stuff. Obviously the 3rd downs, you know, you look at the one in the fourth quarter going towards the end zone, 2 of them, you know, just a man-to-man deal. And, you know, you trust me to win at the top of the route. And then the other one, playing out a little differently than maybe we wanted to, and, you know, ripping me over the ball on a zone look. So, I mean, I think all those things are applicable, and you saw him get in a groove there. And I thought that was really good to see from his end. And, you know, you could feel his confidence growing, I think, as the game went on, despite maybe some of the negative plays that had happened.
Pat?
Cole, you mentioned last night that you need to be better on the pass block, on the strip sack. Looking at film today, do you need to steer him back a little more toward big dog, or get back quicker? What's the coaching point for you?
No, I think for me, it's just technique and being more physical at the point of attack. I think it starts with the snap count and getting off the snap correctly, and being physical from the get-go. I mean, look, that's a good player. I know that's a guy they took pretty high in the draft this past year. So, I mean, obviously he's talented, but I need to be able to give a better run cell there to begin with. And, you know, even if he beats me a little bit later in the down, by then the ball's going to be out. So I got to be better from the start of the snap. And I think that resolves the issue there. But yeah, I mean, that's all on me there. I gotta be much better than that.
Dan?
Cole, with a big picture lens, what's most significant to you in the growth that Caleb has shown from game 1 to 3, and maybe along with that, the confidence boost that you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, you could see him getting in the flow of things better, and you can really see him. I mean, anybody that watches the tape can really see him trying to progress through his reads and see things clearly. And I think he's been picking up his processing speed from game to game, so that's always really encouraging to see. And you know, he's when he gets comfortable and gets rolling there, you can see that confidence pick up. So I think it just continue to do that. I think as we there's a lot of, I've mentioned this, there's a lot of newness on the offense. And as we continue to, feel better about how guys work with one another personnel wise, I think we'll continue to grow this. And, I do think we're close. I look at it on the film, and, there's a couple plays here and there that we got to be better at, but, we're getting there, and obviously we needed to get there quicker. And it hasn't been good enough, but I don't think it's like an all hope is lost situation. I think that there's a real opportunity here to get this thing going quickly, and once it does, I don't think we'll look back from it. But we got to get there first.
Last two here, Jason, then Nick.
Cole, with regard to what you just said, how do you manage those perspectives of you are trying to be patient with Caleb and with a new coordinator, but this is not a rebuilding year for you guys.
Right.
And a game like losing to the Colts is really costly to you guys in the long run.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not. I think that's a game that, you look at our roster and look at theirs. I take ours over theirs any day of the week. So yeah, I mean, it's not a game that I think we should have lost. But now looking at it from sitting in this chair now after the game, it is what it is, and now we're a 1-2 football team, and we got our next game here coming up against the Rams. But at this point, really, all you got to do is learn from the mistakes from the weeks prior. You acknowledge that the steps that you've taken, but we understand that there's a lot of things that we got to get better at. And that being said, there's still a lot of football games left, and there's a lot that can happen throughout the NFL season. And there's no reason to be in full panic mode inside the building with a 1-2 start here. I mean, we're one game away from being 500 again, and like I said, there's just a lot that can happen throughout the NFL season, and I've seen that before. So it's important that we just stick to what we're doing and stick to our process, and continue to go to work every week and continue to grow. And I think from that perspective, just having a good outlook on it, a positive outlook on it when we come back here on Wednesday for practice and attacking the week, I think we'll like the results that we see. But we gotta keep our eyes forward and keep our feet where they are.
How do you explain the offensive struggles when it doesn't seem to be a talent issue? There seems to be the personnel there for this to be a good offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think as players, we got to be more detailed in what we're doing with what the coaches ask of us. Again, I was just outlining the play that I had. That's a fundamental technique thing. Like I just got to be better there. And I think other guys can say that across the board. So we got to be better there. We got to hold ourselves accountable in that regard from player to player, and execute better in that way. And, and then bring the young guys along as well. Obviously you got Caleb and Rome, two very, very talented guys out there, but they're rookies in this thing too. So we got to help them along as well. And I thought we did a better job of that this other day, but we can be even better. So we got to bring guys along in that regard. And then the guys who've been here, including myself, we just got to be much better.
And Nick to close us out.
Well, when looking at the 3 plays before the speed option, you guys are in 11 personnel in the shotgun. Is that a time when you're that close to the end zone where you almost expect to have a heavier lineup out there, have more 2 tight end sets out there?
I mean, you could. I mean, this is definitely more of a question, for the coaching staff as to what their thought processes are, going into that stuff. You see looks throughout the week and on film that you think you can take advantage of in certain personnels. And but I mean, you got to give them credit. They handled it well, and we just weren't good enough at the point of attack to get those in the end zone. So, it's always important as players to look inwardly and see what you could have done better on those type of plays and improve from that standpoint. But in terms of all the logistics and what you're asking, Nick, I think that's something that you'd have to ask coaches about.
Kevin, you've been in this league long enough to know how to flip a page after Sunday. What's your process of understanding the things that contributed to creating the result while also making sure you don't linger there too long?
Yeah, I think the main thing is this group is just sticking together. Just kind of like you said, identifying the things that got us beat, eliminating those. Well, I mean, obviously highlighting the good things we did, highlighting the things that we can correct and eliminating the things that get you beat. That's always been my mentality. And at the end of the day, man, you got to flush it. Didn't get the results we wanted. There were some good things in the game, but we didn't do enough to win the ball game overall. So we have to make sure we continue to come together as a team and just getting back to work. That's the way this league is. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We got to continue to work and try to get better.
I wanted to ask you specifically about the pass breakup you had where you recovered and were able to knock the pass away near the sideline. What did you see in that entire sequence and being able to make that play?
Yeah, I mean, we had a blitz called, and I was obviously covering the guy, and he ended up running a over route, and I had to kind of got caught as soon as I opened up my hips. He broke on the over route, and I had to make a good speed turn, try to chase the ball down. At first, I didn't even think I was going to get to the ball as far as try to make a play on it. I was trying to just run over and get a PBU, but as I got closer, I realized I actually picked the ball off. So I hold myself to a high standard. So I look at that as a drop. Even though it was a good play, I think I could have made the interception. So still kind of mad at myself about that. But, there'll be more opportunities out there for sure.
Pat?
Hey, Kevin, I'm sure you guys haven't moved on to the Rams quite yet, but just in general, you're facing a quarterback now who's got, maybe the most experience in the league. And after going up against 3 guys in a row who are in their second year, what's the difference there in terms of what you guys can expect?
Yeah, we know Matt Stafford's one of the most talented quarterbacks in this league. He has a really strong arm. He can make all the throws. I've actually played against him a couple of times. He's actually done some no-look throws in the game, which was pretty impressive. Very smart, very savvy guy. Is going to get their offense into the right play as many times as he can. And obviously, we all know Sean McVay. He's a wizard when it comes to play calling and things like that. So we're going to be going up against an experienced, head coach and quarterback combo. So we have to be ready for everything. I think just as our defense, we have to make sure we're just playing sound, fundamentally sound football. Because like I said, we know whatever that first 15 or whatever it's going to be pretty challenging for us. So we have to make sure we survive that and just play well overall as a defense.
Back to Dan.
Kevin, as one of the designated leaders on defense, how do you do your part to keep the defense patient with the offense as it tries to find itself and not fall into that trap of feeling a little bit snake bit by the fact that they're not keeping up with what you guys are doing on your side of the ball?
Yeah, we just got to try our best to just not really worry about what's going on that side of the ball. We have to do our jobs. At the end of the day, this is a professional football league, and we all get paid to do a job. I get paid to play safety for the Chicago Bears, and I have to make sure I continue to do that job. It can be frustrating at times because we want to win. I'm saying? Everybody wants to win, but it's not a point in the finger type deal. Sometimes emotions are shown. But at the end of the day, we have to continue to do our job because I've been in situations in this league, man, where the offense has been struggling and eventually they get the ball rolling. And once everything is rolling, then, we can make a real run. So, like I said, we just have to continue to do what we need to do, force turnovers to try to win ball games. And that's what it's got to be until things change. But until then, we have to continue to just do our jobs and try to make sure that we're just locked in on that.
As a captain, do you have to vocalize that to the other guys, or do you just assume that they're in the same mindset you are?
No, I mean, just really just reminders. I think everybody kind of understands their position. At times, like I said, when you're in a football game, emotions are high, but at the same time, you have to continue to remind ourselves that, hey, let's just do our jobs. Let's do what we need to do. Let's go try to get a turnover. Let's try to do more. When things aren't always good, I think the first thing you always have to do is look yourself in the mirror and look at yourself first and see what can I do better? What can I do more? To try to win a ball game. We've seen that happen week 1. So I think we have to continue to have that mentality. Really, as long as you play in this league, that's kind of how it goes.
Mark?
Hey, Kevin, I was curious about Sermon's 1-yard run, the kind of scrum where they kind of pushed him into the end zone.
Yeah.
How much of an affront is that to a defense? And is there anything you can do on that? Does the offense just have the advantage because they're put? I mean, what's your reaction to the way that play never looks good, of course, but
Yeah.
What can be done on that play, and just how difficult is that to stop?
Yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't say I assumed. I thought they was gonna call it dead because I think his forward progress was stopped. I could be wrong. But I think for myself, I felt like I got a good hit on him, stood him up. I think if anything, next time I just have to as they're getting to that pile, maybe I could just go from, just pick his legs up or something like that and kind of just stop him completely. Yeah, it's frustrating, whatever, but at the end of the day, we can't let him get all the way down there to get in that situation. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. But yeah, it was definitely frustrating or whatever. But it is what it is.
Thank you.